The song about life, death, love, hate, wealth, poverty, racism. Just a few things been running through my head.
Listen, we call on you. Listen, now we call on you.
You gotta cross the line, and this is DJ Shadow checking it out. BBC Radio Ulster 94.5 FM.
That's a portion of Influx, the 12-minute debut of DJ Shadow on the Mo Wax label. Now, obviously that's the first thing you released on Mo Wax, Josh, but it's not the first sign of you making music. I mean, how did you get started?
Basically, I'm what you would consider, I guess I used to call myself a bedroom DJ. What that basically means is, I guess, just as anybody, if they want to play the guitar, they pick up a guitar and they listen to like a Hendrix record or a Cream record or something like that and just sort of imitate the riffs. And I sort of did the same with turntables, and I just imitated other DJs and scratch solos and whatnot. From there, I just sort of started getting interested in the sample side as sampling became more prevalent around 85, 86. And as that technology was developing, I sort of got interested in what those ingredients actually were. And I always used to get frustrated because I'd hear a scratch on a record and I could imitate the pattern, but I didn't know what the actual source record was, because it was such a sort of an underground thing. So I started getting into that aspect, and then just sort of started putting beats together and put out my first record in 1991.
So when did you hook up with James Lavelle and with Mo Wax? When did that all start?
It was the Zimbabwe Legit record that James heard about a year after it came out, and it just turns out that he had been DJing it and he really liked it, and he just gave me a call and said he had a label, he had put a couple records out, and wanted to know if I wanted to sort of continue along that sort of more experimental line, which I was really happy to hear, because at the time I was doing demos for Big Beat and Wild Pitch, and all they wanted was real sort of straightforward beats. And I think that gets sort of boring as a producer after a while.
From listening to records, I just knew what to do. I mainly taught myself. And, I did pretty well, except there were a few mistakes that I made that I have just recently cleared up. I'd like to just continue to be able to express myself as best as I can in the instrument. I feel like I have a lot of work to do still. I'm a student of the drums, and I'm also a teacher of the drums too.
Why do you think it took, a British label to give you the support that you needed? Is there not the same kind of interest in the experimental stuff in the States?
I think there is. I think it's just that there's very few people that are willing to put experimentation over the bottom line, which is the dollar, And there's always been sort of more of an open mind towards experimental music in Europe, and I think that definitely shows from Kraftwerk on up. And I think there's a little more willingness to let the creativity come out with people overseas. Me and James just really identified with each other music-wise.
So how do you describe what you do, if you had to describe it?
1996 hip-hop without the materialistic trappings, you know what I mean, of most modern hip-hop. I mean, I do base my ideals on the original tenets and the original ideals of hip-hop as stated by people like Bambaataa, unity through music. But I definitely don't like making music that is retro, you know what I mean? I have no interest in making music that sounds like old music. I apply those old lessons to 1996 because I'm interested in contemporary music. You know, I just want to express myself musically. I chose the sampler as the instrument to do it on.
You said to me, I'm out of my mind.
Obviously, you're pretty diverse in the stuff you do sample. I mean, people who've heard Lost and Found off the Heads compilation might even have noticed the handiwork of Larry Mullen. I mean, any particular reason for sampling U2, or are you just showing that with the aid of a sampler you can use almost anything?
No political reason other than the fact that it just happened to be in a stack. It was there, it was in a stack, just with a bunch of other funk, rock, children's records, whatever else was in my room at the time. It just worked with this loop that I had, and I couldn't really worry about what people were going to think.
Now, let me give you the picture of what's going on. Now, let me give you the picture of what's going on. Now, let me give you the picture of what's going on.
What are your hopes for the LP? Would you like to see this music going even more mainstream? Do you see it getting a kind of a mainstream appeal, or is it always going to be something that people more interested in experimental stuff are going to be interested in? Do you think it could reach a wider market than it has done already?
I suppose it could, but I don't really spend a lot of time worrying about it. All I can really hope is that maybe some of my peers will enjoy it, and maybe some people that are sort of bored with certain aspects of mainstream music will pick up on it as something that they can sort of refer back to for a long time to come. That's all I can really hope for. As far as a market, I leave that to, the people in the suits upstairs to worry about.
Think about it and understand it.